Artery Project.
The sights and sounds
of Central Market.
Central Market, between 6th and 7th Streets, is a tableau of transition. Individuals getting their lives on track, new businesses starting up, and artists decorating vacant storefronts. Amidst this yearning for change is Piper's Jewelers, where used items are bought and sold, and time seems to stand still.
When you walk into Piper's Jewelers, you'll find clocks of all sizes and types. Huge faces that tick, tock, and chime, but oddly enough, not in synchronicity.
And over here we have a range of timepieces, anything from a simple watch like a Seiko up to luxury watches like Burberry, Tag Heuer, antique wristwatch, the Patek Philippe.
The walls are covered in surprisingly well-kept red and gold wallpaper, which has been there since Ralph Piper opened up the store in the 1960s.
We've known Piper for a few decades. We met Mr. Piper, and then the '89 earthquake came.
That's Al Choi. He's been managing the shop since Mr. Piper retired. In addition to Al, Al's mom, who I'll call Mrs. Choi, resides in a nook at the rear of the store, looking over paperwork and sipping tea. Mr. Choi sits behind a small watch repair station near the cash register.
My father has had over 40 years of experience in doing the repairing of timepieces. He started when he was only 12 years old, and he followed a master, and he just worked his way up. If you throw in any timepiece at him, he can repair it.
With a collection that dates back to the 1920s, looking at watches and Pipers is like looking at a set of curated timepieces in fashion history.
You can kind of see the transition between like the people's taste and style. Yeah, since the 20s all the way up to modern time. You notice some of the watches from the earlier days were smaller. Actually, throughout history, our watches have gotten bigger and bigger. Yeah, some of the ladies' pieces back in the days were as small as this here. It's almost like a pea-sized watch here.
The store has jewelry, wedding bands and diamond rings, and antique coins.
This is an 1870S American Gold Eagle $10 coin. It was minted right here in San Francisco. The mintage was only $8,000.
How exactly did you come by this coin? I mean, it's not, you don't pick that up off the street.
Indeed, yes. This was one of Mr. Piper's coin, and he gifted to me during my high school graduation. So it's been staying in the shop ever since. Anybody who wants to look at it, he can come in and look.
But you can't buy it.
But you can't buy it.
A store where you can't buy items that are on display? It's a funny quirk of Piper's. But as Al says,
the value of an item is on the eye of the beholder.
To Al, some items are just too valuable to sell. But this archiving of items, be they coins from the 19th century or watch parts, makes the store invaluable.
We carry an extensive stock of parts that are no longer made, no longer built, because we've been in the business for so long.
In fact, Mr. Choi was brought in to repair the clock of the bell tower of Old St. Mary's Cathedral.
The clock is over 150 years old. The axle was broken, and some of the bushings were broken as well. And since there were no parts for these clocks, so everything had to be done by hand, repaired by hand, the axle was redone.
But to Mr. Choi, it was just another day of work, twiddling with the small gears at his repair station, or refurbishing the clock in one of San Francisco's designated landmarks.
It's easy for him because he's been doing it for over 50 years, handmade. And that's one of the magic of mechanical timepieces too, because you can always restore them and they can last for centuries, as opposed to newer timepieces where when something breaks, you just have to throw it away.
What year was this again?
1850s.
Yes. And then the repair, what year was that?
God, I don't even remember what year it was. See, and when you're in a shop, months can pass away and it feels like weeks and days, and it's a long time ago, but it just feels like yesterday.
It was a different yesterday too, as Al describes.
We've been in here for so long, and we've seen the different transformation of Market Street from a classy, high-end place where people used to wear hats and women wore dresses, into a place where it's so casual now. Back in the days, Mr. Piper's was also very active and very passionate about this area, keeping it clean. He was very involved with the city, with the police commissions, mid-market association, and definitely would like to see this place getting cleaned up again so that it would look like a world-class area again.
Or would that just be traveling back in time?
To check out the various items you can buy or just look at, visit Piper's Jewelers at 1066 Market Street. To learn more about the Artery Project, and the sights and sounds of Central Market, visit sfartscommission.org/artery.